Broncos country, the entire NFL universe just lost its collective mind over a terrifying headline, but the ultimate truth about our star quarterback is about to leave those miserable haters entirely speechless. Vegas oddsmakers just inadvertently leaked the undeniable proof that we are sitting on a top 5 offensive goldmine, and the raw evidence of his flawless recovery was just caught right on tape for the whole world to see. Forget the manufactured media panic, because what is actually happening behind the closed doors of Dove Valley right now is the absolute greatest news we could have ever asked for. Before we completely expose the truth that the mainstream sports media is trying to hide from you, do me a massive favor and smash that like button, share this video with a fellow diehard fan, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing this incredible community together. Alright, let us all just take a massive, collective deep breath and pump the brakes on this ridiculous wave of anxiety that swept through the fanbase over the last few days. We just received the absolute motherload of fantastic, season-altering news regarding Bo Nix and his health status, yet somehow, people are still trembling. It is genuinely baffling. We watched the entire internet go into full-blown meltdown mode because of one single, vague report from Ian Rappaport. People were acting like the sky was falling, completely ignoring the direct reassurances from our head coach, Sean Payton, our general manager, George Payton, and the entire Walton Penner ownership group. Greg Penner himself essentially told us everything was fine. But instead of listening to the men who actually run the franchise, the internet decided to run wild with the absolute worst-case scenario. Why do the national media and half the football world instantly hit the panic button over one mysterious tweet instead of trusting the actual words coming directly from the people inside the building? They heard the phrase, cleanup procedure, and immediately started drafting obituaries for our upcoming season. It was such a blown out of proportion frenzy that it literally made the front page of Fox News. A national, non-sports news outlet running a headline about our star quarterback undergoing a second procedure on his surgically repaired ankle. That right there proves just how massive of a superstar Bo Nix has become, but it also proves how fast misinformation spreads. A cleanup procedure can literally mean anything. It could mean removing a tiny bit of scar tissue, taking out an old plate, or just snipping a few lingering stitches. Remember last season when Nick Bonitto had a cleanup procedure of his own? The man missed exactly 3 days of practice and sat out one meaningless preseason game. That was it. He was back on the field destroying tackles in less than a week. Yet, the media spun this Nix story as if he was going to be confined to a wheelchair until October. It was pure, unadulterated fear-mongering. But let's talk about why everyone was so terrified, because it actually reveals a massive compliment to our quarterback. The fear stems from just how incredibly valuable Bo Nix is to this football team. Before last season kicked off, analytical deep dives were done to determine exactly how much a starting quarterback is worth to the Las Vegas point spread. The data showed that Josh Allen was worth about 7 points to the Buffalo Bills. Patrick Mahomes was hovering just above 6 points. Lamar Jackson was worth roughly 6.65 points, with Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow sitting right around that 6-point mark. These are the undisputed elite, the guys who carry their entire franchises on their backs. Well, hold on to your seats, because the sharpest minds in Vegas just proved that Bo Nix belongs in that exact same elite stratosphere. This isn't some wild hypothetical fan theory, we actually saw the math play out in real time. Before the devastating injury against the Buffalo Bills, the oddsmakers had us listed as 1.5-point favorites. The exact moment the news broke that Nix was out, the line violently shifted, and we plummeted to 4.5-point underdogs. Do the math, because that is exactly a 6-point swing. The National Football League and the ruthless oddsmakers in Las Vegas are screaming at you that Bo Nix is mathematically a top 5 quarterback in this league. When Sean Payton stood at the podium last year and boldly declared that Nix was going to be a top-tier guy, the national pundits laughed. They called him delusional. They said he was off his rocker. Well, the Vegas money just proved Sean Payton was entirely right. Bo Nix is literally worth more to the spread than Joe Burrow and sits just fractions of a point behind Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. So yes, his health is a massive deal, which is exactly why his recent response to the haters was so incredibly satisfying. While the media was busy planning our funeral, Bo Nix decided he had heard enough. He didn't issue a boring press release, he went straight to Instagram and delivered the ultimate, undisputed clapback to every single doubter out there. He dropped an absolutely phenomenal highlight reel of himself looking like an absolute Terminator. We are talking about a barrage of clips showing him dropping back, firing absolute missiles, and moving with pristine fluidity. But the absolute mic drop moment was the final clip of the video. It showed him in a dead, full-on sprint right out there at Dove Valley. You can literally see the fracking towers in the background, so there is absolutely no mistaking that Colorado skyline. Now, there wasn't a timestamp on this specific clip. It could have been filmed yesterday, or it could have been filmed a couple of weeks ago. But the timing doesn't even matter, because the message is crystal clear. You do not post a video of yourself running a 4-3 sprint, looking incredibly explosive, with zero hint of a limp, if you are genuinely struggling through a brutal rehab. He posted that footage to silence the noise. He remembered that deeply emotional and incredibly passionate letter he wrote to his daughter just a little while ago, promising her that he was at the end of his rehab and that he was coming back hungrier and more dangerous than ever before. He saw the doubt, he heard the whispers, and he physically proved them wrong. He is back, he is completely ready, and he is about to set this league on fire. Question of the day for you guys: after seeing that undeniable video evidence of him sprinting flawlessly at the facility, do you think the national media needs to formally apologize to Bo Nix for their ridiculous fear-mongering, or are they just going to conveniently pretend this footage doesn't even exist? Drop your honest answers in the comments below right now because I want to hear exactly what you think. The confidence radiating from our quarterback is violently spreading through the entire fan base. We are witnessing a historic level of belief in what this team is building. Mile High has always been one of the most terrifying places for opposing teams to play. When you combine our insane altitude with the deafening roar of this fan base, it is the greatest home field advantage in professional sports. And that advantage is only getting stronger, because the organization just announced a mind-blowing 99.5% renewal rate for season tickets. People have been stuck on the waiting list for half a decade without moving an inch, because nobody is giving up their seats for the show we are about to witness. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of our true potential, and the rest of the league knows it. You can see the magnetic pull of this new culture in the way players talk about us. Rookies are literally begging to be drafted by this franchise. We heard guys throughout the pre-draft process calling Denver the ultimate destination. We brought in relentless warriors, guys who are willing to bleed for the jersey. We secured an absolute steal in the 7th round with a phenomenal wide receiver who went his entire senior season without dropping a single pass. The craziest part is that he accomplished that flawless record while playing with a brutally broken finger for the majority of the year. That is the exact type of gritty, uncompromising toughness that Sean Payton is injecting into this locker room. Speaking of the draft, it is time to address the people complaining about our strategy. We absolutely dominated the NFL draft, yet some critics are whining that we didn't trade up early to draft an inside linebacker. Those critics fundamentally misunderstand the brutal economics of modern football. Just look at the cautionary tale of the Detroit Lions. A few years ago, they used a premium early pick on an inside linebacker named Jack Campbell. The kid has been playing out of his mind, completely balling out. But because he was drafted so high, his 5th-year option became incredibly expensive. Keeping him would mean completely resetting the inside linebacker market, taking up a massive chunk of their salary cap. So, despite his immense talent, Detroit couldn't afford to pay him and had to decline his option. The Washington Commanders are staring down the exact same terrifying financial trap with Sonny Styles. Drafting an inside linebacker in the 1st round is a financial mistake waiting to happen. The smartest front offices know you build the foundation through the trenches. If you look at the top 20 defensive tackles in the league right now, the vast majority of them were 1st-round selections. You absolutely cannot find an elite, game-wrecking defensive lineman as an undrafted free agent. It just does not happen. But if you look at the top 20 inside linebackers in the NFL, you will find a massive number of guys who were drafted in the late rounds or weren't even drafted at all. You can find diamond-in-the-rough linebackers and running backs anywhere, but you have to spend premium capital on the defensive line. That is exactly what our front office did, and it was an absolute masterclass in roster construction. So let the rest of the league keep sleeping on us. Let the media keep trying to invent fake controversies about cleanup procedures. All systems are officially pointing up for this franchise. Bo Nix is fully healthy, completely furious, and absolutely ready to dominate. Our front office just executed a brilliant, mathematically flawless draft. As we look ahead to the schedule dropping later this May, there has never been a better time to be a fan. The energy is undeniable, the talent is locked in, and the truth is finally out there. The ball simply does not lie, and this season is going to be one for the absolute history books.